Welcome back to Off the Chart Season 2, Gen Q edition. This season, we're watching the L Word Generation Q with you, bringing you our unfiltered take on the new series reboot every Monday, because we still can't get over those LA lesbians. I'm Erica Lenti, senior editor at Xtra, and I would like to own Dani's Baby Bette Porter blazer collection.
And I'm Michelle Turingen, managing producer of video at Xtra, and I really want to eat at that Filipino restaurant with Micah and Jose.
Okay, so penultimate episode, only one left. Mm-hmm. How you feeling?
Well, you said last week that you felt the episode seemed a little too virtuous, a little too cheesy. It tied up ends a little too nicely. I think maybe they heard you, Erica, because episode 7 was full of drama, that dyke drama you were looking for.
I have a direct line to Showtime's writers. Yeah, this was great. So on that note, why don't we talk about the themes for this episode, Shell?
Sure. So there seemed to be a lot of empathy in episode 7. Mm-hmm. Finley drops her entire day to support and comfort Sophie when her grandmother is in the hospital. Sheng didn't fire Tess after her relapse and is glad that Tess is going back to AA meetings. Jose doesn't judge Micah's mom and instead assures Micah that he sees the real him. Kiara doesn't judge Shane's reaction to the ultrasound because she knows that Shane will come to parenthood in her own time. Bette didn't tell Alice about Felicity because she thought she would judge her, but Alice reminds Bette that she's in a throuple and is in no place to judge anyone. And then Sophie's sister Maribel doesn't judge Sophie when she tells her that she's kissed Finley at the hospital. So I feel like in the original run of the show, a lot of our crew seem to judge each other's choices and decisions quite often, whereas in this reboot, in Gen Q, there seems to be a lot of kind of understanding, no judgment, and a lot of empathy.
So once again, you prove to be the better person of the two of us. Because the thing that stood out to me the most was like these people have to live with these often crappy choices that they've made and reckon with the repercussions. Alice decides it's time to end the throuple because she's tired of feeling used. Shane decides to come clean about her lack of emotion, as you said, at the ultrasound with Kiara. Sophie decides to kiss Finley and not tell Dani. A lot of choices made, okay? Not all of them are good. We will unpack them moving forward, but I don't know, you're always the more empathetic of the two of us. I'm always like, these people suck.
Empathy wins.
All right, let's recap. Shell? Let's talk about Sophie and Finley, your faves.
Absolutely. So this episode opens with Sophie taking a shower. Dani walks into the bathroom and is completely enthralled in work calls and is kind of ignoring Sophie a little bit. Then Finley walks into the bathroom and the two pals are teasing each other. Side note, we get another blatant and unnecessary Finley armpit shot.
Okay, the armpit hair is totally fake, right?
And it seems like a lot of you agreed with us. We did a Twitter poll and we asked you if you thought the armpit hair was faux or real. And 60.7% of you said it was definitely an armpit mark. So
it is, yeah.
So thank you for participating. So back to the episode. And Sophie receives a call from her mom that her grandmother has fallen and that she's at the hospital with her and her sister. Dani offers to come with Sophie, but Sophie insists that Dani go to work. At the hospital, Sophie is trying to be strong for her fam, but when she leaves the room, she completely falls apart. But right at that moment, our lovable, goofy Finley appears with coffees and snacks for everyone. Sophie is pretty pissed that Dani hasn't shown up all day, and Finley takes Sophie's hand and they decide to pray together, which is a very touching moment, which we'll talk about later. Later that day, Dani comes home to find Finley in their closet getting clothes for Sophie, and Finley actually calls Dani out for not being at the hospital earlier.
You should have been there for her. She really needed you.
I'm giving her all I've got.
It's gonna be okay.
So Sophie is reading to her grandmother when Finley arrives with Dani, but Dani is there for 10 seconds because her phone blows up when the smear ad drops and Dani leaves to go deal with it again. So after a full day of being there for her good buddy Sophie, Finley is about to leave the hospital. She seems reluctant to leave. She's looking for reasons to stay. She finally says, "I love you," before she goes. Sophie says it back. Finley walks away. Sophie grabs her hand, and then they kiss. Which I know you have a lot of feelings.
Yeah,
about.
I'm exercising some restraint because I think there might be some Finley shippers among the listeners, and I don't want to alienate our audience. But
I mean, I might be one of them. I want to talk about this really lovely scene that Sophie and Finley have at the hospital in the waiting room. Sophie tells Finley this really great story about how her grandmother snuck her into Radio City Music Hall when she was 7 years old. And she says a line which really stood out to me, where she says, if she dies, I'm the only one that's going to know that story.
Mm-hmm.
But she's just told Finley that story, and now Finley knows that story. To me, that seems like you're sharing this very intimate moment that you and your grandmother shared alone, and you're sharing it with your best friend. I think this conversation just highlights their friendship and how intimate they can be with each other. So, Finley, hashtag, what do you think of this kiss?
I really didn't like it. And it's not because I don't think that Sophie and Finley don't have any sort of chemistry together. I actually think they have a ton of chemistry.
They have amazing chemistry.
Yes.
I think their chemistry is way better than Sophie's chemistry with Dani.
Absolutely. But my issue is that we just talked about this in the last episode.
Yes.
The original series did so much to foster those great friendships among the OGs. We were finally getting a glimpse of that with the new folks. And instead of proceeding forward with that awesome friendship, chilling on Alice's bed in the middle of the day kind of chemistry, they've gone forward and they've made it into a romance. And not only a romance, but now they've got one character cheating on another character who they're supposed to be married to. I asked for dyke drama. I specifically did not want this to happen. Like, there are so many other ways to be dramatic. I just did not like it.
I know you disliked it, but I want to ask you, do you think that Sophie kissing Finley was because she genuinely has feelings for her? Or is she just upset about Dani brushing her aside and ignoring her, and she's just trying to look for comfort wherever she can get it?
I think it's a combination of both, probably. I mean, I'm sure that these sort of feelings are getting complicated. I mean, Sophie's in a really crappy position, worried about her grandmother. Finley's been the only person there for her this whole time, so perhaps she's mistaking some of those feelings for romance. I don't know. You know, we'll see what happens. It's just kind of a weird jump. Like, we just had a glimpse into their friendship, and now you're already pairing them together. It's not like in the original series where Dana and Alice developed their friendship that later turned into romance. It was a slower burn. This is so immediate. Clearly, we're not going to agree on this, all right? So you're on the Finley ship. I'm not.
I mean, I don't know if I'm on the ship yet. I'm interested to see where the ship will go.
And I'm just like, I've jumped overboard already. Like, get me away from this. Let us know what you think at Xtra Magazine. We'll read it. Maybe you can establish some sort of middle ground for the two of us.
Yes, we want to see all those tweets. And if you're listening on YouTube, drop us a comment. So, Erica, tell us what's going on with Dani.
We returned to see Dani more frazzled than ever, which I didn't know was possible. Pierce quit, as we saw in the last episode, so Dani stepped up as interim campaign manager. She's really worried that Bette's opponent is going to release an attack ad. She gets a little tip from some CBS folks. But then Sophie gets the call about her grandmother, as you said. Dani offers to join. Sophie rebuffs her. So Dani goes to see Bette, of course. Dani suggests that the pair prep an attack ad on their end, but Bette insists it's against her morals, of course. So Dani spends the day working. She comes home later, as you said. She finds Finley picking up some clothes for Sophie. Finley kind of tells her off, I think, a little rightfully here. She is Sophie's fiance. She didn't show up. So then Dani does show up, as you said, for a hot minute when Bette's opponent releases the attack ad, which is a very lost opportunity, might I add, to not include elements of Jodie Lerner's core values. Like, there was so much material. What about when she kidnapped Angie and drove her to Mexico without a sippy cup? Like,
talk about the best throwback to the original run.
Right. So then Dani ends up back at Bette's. Bette offers her a glass of whiskey, and she's like, oh, please, sure. And that's the last we see of Dani. And I feel like they are setting up Dani and Bette, which is probably the only ship I hate more than Sophie and Finley at this point.
I mean, I'm not a fan of it too, but we've kind of been calling it all season.
Yeah, but I do not want this. I just think it's a gross, weird power imbalance. Like, Bette is possibly going to be the mayor. She's Dani's boss. Like, she's significantly older than her. Like, there's just, it's weird. I don't know.
Lots of red flags.
A lot of red flags. Clearly, some of you agree with us. We got a comment last week from Ivory, who said that she does not want us to talk about Dani and Bette getting together. She wants us to focus on Bette, which, fair enough. I just think, like,
it's hard to ignore, Ivory. It's really hard to ignore. So we have to talk about it because it looks like the show is about to lead that way. And we want to continue to hear what you guys think about it. So let us know.
Okay, on a less sour note, let's talk about Micah.
Absolutely. So Micah comes back this episode, which is great. He's really anxious because his mom, Grace, is in town to meet Jose. And while they're at lunch, Grace refers to Micah as her little girl at one point in the conversation, which makes Micah furious, understandably. Jose follows him outside to kind of comfort him.
I see you, the person in front of me, for exactly who he is. Look at me.
which is very sweet. And his mother sees through the window that clearly these two really love each other. Later that night, Micah is still mad at his mom. They have a very sweet conversation about how Micah's dad was so much better at dealing with this kind of stuff, and she promises to do better by him. Now, what I was really excited about, there's a scene where the three of them go out to lunch, and the camera does an establishing shot. It pans down from the place where they're eating out to the window, and you see the signage for the restaurant, which is called Ma'am Sir, which is a real restaurant in LA. I looked it up immediately. And then the camera keeps moving, and you see like the Philippines flag for like 5 seconds. And I lost my mind. I was like jumping up and down. I was like pointing at the TV, and my girlfriend was like laughing at me. And the reason why I want to point out this personal reaction that I had to this moment is that something as simple as shooting an establishing shot like that, to me, just emphasizes why representation in media matters. And I was even shocked at my reaction to it. It's just such a small thing, and I felt myself reflected. I felt myself seen. So I just want to give a little nod.
That's so sweet. Oh, now I'm going to shit all over representation. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But since we're on the topic of representation, we've talked a lot about what Micah's character means in this series. We've talked a lot about trans representation for the series as a whole.
Yes.
We're one episode away from the end of the first season. I feel like I'm disappointed in Micah's storyline. And that's not a slight to the actor or the, any of the...
Or even the storyline, because the storyline's pretty good. I just feel like they haven't given it enough airtime.
Yes. I feel like there's probably a lot of material on the cutting room floor. And I think it's really novel and awesome to see a trans man in a relationship with another man. We don't see that very frequently in media, but I just feel like their storyline has been such an afterthought behind all the other dyke drama, which I love, don't get me wrong, but I just wish they did something more with Micah. So here's to hoping season 2 elevates his storyline a little bit more. I really love Jose. I really love Micah. I just want something saucy. I don't know.
I agree. So Erica, tell us what's going on with Bette Porter.
So we're about 2 weeks away from the mayoral election. Bette is shook.
I told you that he was going to do the negative attack campaign.
You think I'm going to let him take me down? You really don't know me at all.
But actually, she's more shook because of Tina. Tina and Shane and Bette have lunch together at Dana's. Tina asks Bette if they can have dinner together later that night. And Shane notes that Bette is flustered AF because she still has feels for Tina, but she's like, no, it's menopause. So later at the dinner, Bette looks super hot. We have to note that. She's ready to pounce when Tina announces that she and her partner Carrie are engaged, out of nowhere. They're looking for places to stay in LA to be closer to Angie. Tina wants to concoct a plan to tell Angie together, but Bette is just mortified. You can just feel the cringe through the screen.
It is heartbreaking.
Tina made her feel so alive, and now there's no chance of reconciliation.
Oh dear.
Folks, I know you love Tibet. Is this the end of Tibet as we know it, Shell? What do you think?
Oh gosh. I don't know. It's hard to say. I feel like this Carrie character, the person that Tina left Bette for, the only thing we know about her is her name. We don't know how they met or what their relationship is like or how it is that they're at this point in their relationship where they're already engaged. So I would like to see a little bit more context around that before I make a call about whether Tibet is dead or not.
My take on it is that Tibet never ends. There's always an opening for them. The original series, they were on again, off again. I feel like there's never a sort of true end to them. We asked about this in the Twitter poll as well, which I thought was really interesting. Most of you guys said that Tibet was so 2009, which is when the original series ended. And only 29% of you said that if they were not endgame, you'd riot. But I also want to note that Tibet being so 2009 also tied with Bette just screaming Tina into the void. Tina! Okay, mixed feelings about Tibet, clearly. Should we talk about Alice and the throuple?
We absolutely should, because Alice is having a rough go this episode. She meets with the TV execs. She wants to drop Drew next season. The execs tell Alice that she is on the bubble, which means that she may not be renewed. And Drew tells Alice that the last show needs to have a real viral moment to ensure that they get another season. She finally caves and is willing to hear him out. Meanwhile, back at home, Nat tells Gigi that she misses these small but very special family moments that they used to have together. And we find out that when Gigi cheated on Nat, Nat never gave her a chance to redeem herself, or they never talked through it together. So Gigi reassures Nat that she's here now. and then they have sex without Alice there, which to me seems like maybe is not allowed in a throuple.
I think you've got to establish those rules, right?
Exactly. They've not had that conversation yet. So when Alice comes home and walks in on Nat and Gigi naked in bed together, she is obviously upset, but Nat is kind of confused because she thought that this was okay. So Alice leaves the house, heads to Shane to blow off some steam, and Bette is there. She's kind of reluctant to talk to Bette, but the two kind of hash it out. Alice tells Bette that she feels stupid, and Bette tells her that she's really brave. And then they reconcile, which is really sweet. After a few days have passed, Alice meets with Nat and Gigi. They said that they've spent all of the time that they were apart dealing with their marriage issues. And Alice, understandably, is just feeling completely used and useless, feeling like the throuple only existed to help them get back together. So the throuple, how do we feel about this? Because in the Twitter poll, almost 53% of you said that Alice, Nat, and Gigi was your favorite ship. So people are into it, clearly.
This is what I wanted to happen. So I'm thrilled. Like, the drama was there. I totally agree with Alice. We all saw this coming. You bring two ex-wives together, they're going to start hashing out their like marital issues, and then you're going to get left on the sidelines. I'm glad that it happened this way. Like, I'm glad that finally things didn't just wrap up nicely and Alice was like, oh, I'm so glad you figured your shit out. Like, I can come back now. Hell no. Alice can leave and, like find somewhere where she doesn't feel as used. Or if the throuple does end up back together, it's going to take more than just a conversation over tortilla soup with 2 spoons.
We shall see what they do in the last episode. So what is going on with Uncle Shane?
Not that much. I mean, she stepped up as daddy last episode, so she's going to go listen to her baby's heartbeat for the first time. Kiara is super emotional at the sound, crying when she hears the heartbeat, but then Shane is like not feeling it at all. She kind of just steals Bette and Tina's line about the heartbeat sounding like, and I quote, horses stampeding in the mud. Which actually, like, I'm going to fact check this, and hat tip to Autostraddle for bringing this up in their recap. Bette didn't know about Tina's pregnancy for like a long time. Like, she was wearing those shawls to hide her stomach. I don't think Bette would have been at the first ultrasound to hear the heartbeat.
Oh, continuity error.
And then like there was actually a scene where they show them at an ultrasound together at one point, and neither of them are crying, and neither of them say it sounds like horses stampeding in the mud. Anyway, later, Shane comes clean to Kiara that she didn't feel anything at the ultrasound. Kiara's like, thanks for being honest. You'll come into parenthood on your own terms, in your own time. It's fine. These two are great. They communicate well. They're honest. I love it. But your question is why Shane's a robot with no emotions with the baby.
Like, why doesn't she feel anything?
I don't know. I mean, I think that like this is sort of a nice storyline in which it shows that parents don't all have to have the same textbook emotions around parenthood. Clearly, Shane's been through a lot of shit. She didn't have a great upbringing from her parents. She was sort of a parent to Shay for a little while, and that ended really crappy. So I think that it's probably just going to take her some time to get into it. And I like that they showed this. And I, for one, think that Shane and Kiara are the strongest couple on the show thus far.
You might be right.
Yeah, they actually talk to each other.
And Kiara clearly knows, when Shane says this to her, she's quick to forgive her because she knows Shane. She knows that she'll come to it eventually. So yeah, I think it's really beautiful that they got over that really quickly.
Mm-hmm. One person that was noticeably absent in this episode.
Your favorite.
My fave, Angie, is not here. She killed it last episode, so she's clearly just taking a little break. But I do want to give a shout out to Michelle Dubois on YouTube, who had my comment of the week. She called Angie the MVP of the last episode. She is the MVP of every episode she is in. Angie and Jordy is my OTP. I love Shane and Kiara, but Angie and Jordy, my OTP. Thank you for just stating the obvious. Okay, it's time for our superlatives round. Each week, we'll crown our favorite moments from the episode. It's like reading through your high school yearbook all over again. Maybe just a little queerer. Shell, what's your pick?
Okay, so honorable mention for worst and best looks of the episode. Worst look goes to Dani's awful loud blazer, which I know you loved, but I thought was atrocious.
Clearly, we're going to disagree about a lot in this episode. I loved it.
But the best look goes to Finley and her fast food button-up. She's had hamburgers and French fries on it, and I loved it. But the most heartbreaking moment goes to Sophie and Finley in the hospital hospital. When they start reciting the Hail Mary, I was like broken. I started to like recite the lines with them, and I was just like, how far can I get before I forget a line? And I made it all the way through, and by the time that scene ended, I was like in tears.
Oh, this reminds me that we still don't really get a sense of where Finley's discomfort from religion comes from. So hopefully that gets wrapped up in the last episode.
And if not, then some fodder for season 2.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was renewed. Did we say that?
We haven't.
Oh, okay, amazing. So there's going to be a second season of the L Word Generation Q. And probably a second season of Us, which is really exciting.
Hooray. What about you, Erica? What were your favorite moments?
Honorable mention for best quote ever goes to Alice, who, when making up with Bette, says, "Why would I judge you? I'm in a throuple with 2 ex-wives." It was really great. But the honor goes to Shaneist moment of the episode when Shane fumbles and breaks a vagina model while waiting for Kiara's ultrasound. I feel like she's a total top. She should know her way around a vagina model. And yet here she is, just fucking it up.
Usually they don't fall apart like that.
Okay, that's it for this episode. Tune in next week for the finale. We're processing episode 8. Will Sophie tell Dani the truth? Will Bette win the election? And will Angie be her chief of staff? So much left to unpack. I'm Erica Lenti.
And I'm Michelle Turingen.
Off the Chart Generation Q is produced by Michelle Turingen. Our executive producer is Rachel Giza, and our music is by Kid Coolit. If you like what you're hearing, please review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a comment on YouTube. We see you, YouTube fam. Feel free to get in touch with us on Twitter at Xtra Magazine. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.
Until next time.
You should have been there for her. She really needed you.
I'm giving her all I've got.
It's gonna be okay.